Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Captain. Yeah,
How's life?
and
Eh,
everything. Yeah.
You're in India now? India?
Yes, Captain. Yes,
Oh, so
thank
nice.
you.
So nice.
Yeah. So let us begin. And so I hope we have got the chance to ingather ourselves and invoking Mother and Sri Aurobindo's presence and grace as we go through the words of the sunlit path, which the Mother has said not to take as mere words, but forces in action. Thank you. So last time we completed Others Are a Mirror, right? Or was anything left? Like I think it was fully done. So should we start with insults remain immobile? Yeah. So if anybody is willing, they can please unmute and read this passage for us. Otherwise, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I'll read.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, Insults remain immobile. It is much more difficult to remain calm, immobile, unshakable before something very unpleasant, whether it be words or acts leveled against you. Infinitely more difficult than to answer with the same violence. Suppose someone insults you. If in the face of these insults you can remain immobile, not only outwardly, I mean integrally, without being shaken or touched in any way, you are there like a force against which one can do nothing, and you do not reply, you do not make a gesture, you do not say a word. All the insults thrown at you leave you absolutely untouched within and without. You can keep your heartbeats absolutely quiet. You can keep the thoughts in your head quite immobile and calm without their being in the least disturbed. That is, your head does not answer immediately by similar vibrations, and your nerves don't feel elanged with the need to return a few blows to relieve themselves. If you can be like that, you have a static power, and it is infinitely more powerful than if you had that kind of force which makes you answer insult by insult, blow by blow, and agitation by agitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Yeah. So I don't know what is it about, accusations or judgments or insults that just, I don't know, touches something and there you go again, kind. So her mother says that it is much more difficult to remain calm, immobile, unshakable before something very unpleasant, whether it be words or acts leveled against you, infinitely more difficult than to answer with the same violence. When I'm reading this, something in me still feels that, violence or giving, tit for tat is more powerful. Or I don't know, it just feels like, I don't know what to say, but to see this again, that it's infinitely more difficult than to answer with the same violence, with this, and it is, of course, more difficult than answer with the same violence. I don't know. I think I just, um, so suppose someone insults you. If in the face of these insults, you can remain immobile, not only outwardly, I mean integrally, without being shaken or touched in any way, you are there like a force against which one can do nothing, and you do not reply, you do not make a gesture, you do not say a word. All the insults thrown at you leave you absolutely untouched within and without. I am kind of at a loss of words to say anything on this. It just,
Uh, uh, I have a personal example. Like in the school days, one of my teacher gave me a book, uh, how to control the six enemies of us. That is Kama, Krodha, Lova, Mad, Moha, Matsarya. So it was in Bengali language, and I read at them. And the writer, he has explained what are these six enemies, and how are they being pampered by us, and how they grow in our mind, and what are the ways we can get rid of them actually. So this everybody has got, it is inbuilt in our system from the beginning of our life. Not only that, it has not gone out, it is still existing. But how to control? God has created us, and so definitely it is required, and up to which degree it is required to be there, and where we can have some control over it or something. So uh, in that anger, the solution which was given is this: that if the two persons they are fighting, and if one is very angry, and he's trying to do something or something and all this, the other person says that you have to just keep quiet, or you move away from that place. You be total quiet actually. Don't talk a word actually, nothing. So here mother says even do not even gesture. So I have seen in the practical life, in day to day, it is happening actually. Even in the family life also it takes place. So I switch off entirely, and I try to become cool. And then after some times the fire subsides. The So this was one of the weapon or the treatment which I am using for myself till today. So here what happens? What is acting as antidote? This keeping quiet is acting as antidote. So in Russia they used to drink heavily. So this what is antidote? Antidote is you take something which can absorb that uh, alcohol inside. So here this acts as something. If anger is very hot, and this antidote is very cool actually for keeping quiet, and without any even facial exchange or anything of this nature, you're just quiet, as if you do not know what is happening around, and it acts as a ice to cool down the temperature other side. So this I have realized in my life, and I am following this. I'm following this. It's so happened, and I'm getting the benefit of it. Thank you.
when Taru was reading it, the something that was coming to my mind was the picture of Nalini Da. There was a incident when somebody he was passing by and somebody started someone was really angry at him and some really criticizing him for something, and he kept listening, and then when he finished he just said, "Are you finished? Can I go?" And it was like a severe, like attacking as if, and being very very angry at him. And I just, when you were reading it, actually, that was coming. And of course, we know that he was somebody who has truly realized his psychic self. And I think that's like when I see it, I see somebody, yes, for that, we need to realize the psychic self. Without that, everything else that will be done will just be like temporary bandage to be put. And, you do one thing, or to the fifth time, you'll, again blast with anger or something like that. There is not a true solution than to actually find the psychic self. Like, for example, recently only something I did, very nicely, very close to mad, and I got a lot of criticism on it. And in my mind, I was doing mother's work, like how we kind of idealize things. And I got a lot of criticism for it. Somebody didn't like what I did and all of that. And I felt really hurt when the email came that, okay, maybe the person did not like it and everything. And there was a lot of hurt, but what I could do was maybe, use reason. Like it was not that there was no hurt, or like as mother was saying, that there is a complete immobility in the being. There was not. There was a lot of fluctuation, there was a lot of hurt, and there was a lot of vital movement. But what I could do was that see it from a reason, that okay, is this correct? Is this a chance for progress? Can I do my work better? Did I do it in the right consciousness? And the answer came, no, you did not. You were really rushing things, and you were trying to do many things at a time, and you did not give your best. So the next time I did it very perfectly, and then also the person did not like it. And the second time, I a lot, first time it was my whole day was mind was trying to go into that loop, and there was a lot of questions. But the second time, when I again approached it, there was a lot of a little bit peace in the being, because according to me, I really tried to progress. I really tried to do it to my best. And even if somebody did not like it, or if I'm getting like criticism of it, I can just leave it now, And so the thing is that reason really helped me, like to have that kind of an understanding, and not really, start acting unreasonably how we start doing it if somebody attacks you, somebody criticizes you. But at the same time, there was I can't say that there was peace or there was mobility in my being, because there was still that hurt of being criticized, of being attacked. And maybe because I'm more emotional, that was more. For some people it can't be. So yeah, just thought of sharing that.
That's really interesting that when I was reading it and when Badalji was sharing, I felt that for me, what causes the downfall is the reasoning. Because, there's something in me which says that, oh, she should understand, right? Like, okay, or I'm trying to protect an image. Like, I'm using a lot of brain that, okay, this is what I've been told, or this is what I've been accused of. But that's not correct. That's not my truth. And I want my truth to be there because for so many reasons. So I was actually feeling that, how that reason is the helper, reason is the bar, that the same thing that there's something I'm trying to protect, there's something I'm trying to prove. Otherwise, why? Why will why will I lose it? Why will I react if there's nothing, right? Like some image, something that the other need to know about me that I feel. Otherwise, like how you so very beautifully shared about, that experience that are you done? Can I go? So if something was thrown at me and I didn't catch it, I can have that freedom. I can have that free flow that, okay, he wanted to say something. They said it, in that example, and he's ready to move. But we get stuck, right? We would stand there, we would say, how could you say this? What do you think I am? And stuff. So it's so interesting how there's so many different facets to the same thing. And of course, there would be different things, different situations for everyone, and this, in different parts of our journey. But Yeah, so yes, anybody else, please. Just going through this again, it is much more difficult to remain calm, immobile, unshakable before something very unpleasant, whether it be words or acts leveled against you, infinitely more difficult than to answer with the same violence. Suppose someone insults you. If in the face of these insults you can remain immobile, not only outwardly, I mean integrally, without being shaken or touched in any way, you're there like a force against which one can do nothing, and you do not reply, you do not make a gesture, you do not say a word, and the insults thrown at you leave you absolutely untouched within and without. You can keep your heartbeats absolutely quiet. You can keep the thoughts in your head quite immobile and calm without their being in the least disturbed. That is, your head does not answer immediately by similar vibrations, and your nerves don't feel clenched with the need to return a few blows to relieve themselves. This is what usually typically happens, that the head wants to answer immediately. We catch the same vibration, we reach the same place, and the nerves feel clenched with the need to return a few blows to relieve themselves. That how could this be thought? How could this be conceived? How could I be insulted? So much vibrations, the movement we all feel inside. Like the fire word Captain had used. So if you can be like that, you have a static power. Somehow we, give too much importance to dynamic power because it is very visible, right? Yeah. And it is infinitely more powerful than if you had that kind of force which makes you answer insult by insult, blow by blow, and agitation by agitation. So this static power, Mother says, is infinitely, again, she's using this word twice, more powerful than if you had that kind of force which makes you answer insult by insult, blow by blow, and agitation by agitation.
Uh, uh, Two more stories are coming in the mind. One is this, like what mother is indicating us, in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, uh, Arjun asked to Sri Krishna that how to become sthita pragga, means how to be in the same state of mind every time, whether you are getting somebody is getting angry against you or whatever may be, whatever may be the situation, but you are the same. If you are cool and quiet and undisturbed, So how can you kill her? So Sri Krishna has given some 7-8 points how to become. So mother says that it is very difficult. It is very difficult. Surely it is difficult. Those who are practicing, they will realize that it is very difficult. So this was one thought which was coming to the mind. And the second was Nandini was talking about in the same story. This maybe and Nalinida must have given that exact fact what has happened. But the Ramakrishna Paramahansa's story, so one of that is this: there are one landlord was staying in the city, and the first floor he was staying, the landlord, and the ground floor of this house he has rented it out. So there was one person, he was with his family and all, he was residing in the ground floor. So this ground floor staff, he was never happy. So he was every time he was complaining of something. Sometimes for electricity, sometimes for water. Sometimes children are making noise in the first floor, and he's getting disturbed. Something or other. So the owner of the house, he was very, the Sthita Pargotai. So he says, okay, whatever complaint you have got, you can tell me. So he gave him the time, and in the morning, say 8 o'clock, he says, okay, tomorrow morning I'll come at 8 o'clock, and you can tell me what are the problems, issues you have. So he kept on saying this thing and all me, and he was very quietly, he was listening everything. Then when it became 8:30, he says that, sorry, I have also to go to office and it is time. So what has happened is in the evening when I come back, at about 8:30, after freshing up and all this. So probably we can continue at 8:30 in the evening. So this person says, okay, since you have to go to office and I have also to go to office, so let us discontinue the talk which was taking place. So in the evening, 8:30 again comes, again meeting continues, and again he was complaining of something. And the owner, he was always keeping quiet. He was not showing any reactions or anything of the stage. Then again it became 9 o'clock. Then he says, it's 9 o'clock now. My wife is waiting for the dinner. We'll be having dinner together. So can we have tomorrow morning 8:30 again? We can meet. He says, yes. I also have to have dinner, so we will meet tomorrow. So the next day also the similar thing happens, and he was doing blah 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 blah. And then again it became half an hour talk was over. Then he says that, sorry, if you have not finished, now I have to leave. So again we'll continue. If we have got still something left, so probably again we'll continue in the evening. So here, this extension of the same story. Here it continues for 2-3 days. Then one day, this person says, who was rented out. Actually, he was on rent. So he says that, sorry, I was taking all the time. I was only talking and all, and God never talking anything of this nature and all. I'm sorry that I was doing the same thing again and again and again and all. I realized that I have done crime actually by complaining, and I could understand that there are some solutions which even I was in a position to do it myself. And so from that time onwards, there was no complaint and all. They were staying happily. Both of them were staying happily. So this indicates that the person has got so much inside, but by keeping quiet by the other party, probably he realizes over a period of time the this was not required. It could have been solved at his own level. So these complaints which you are putting and all this, it was not due to the owner, house owner, but it was for something else actually. So he realizes at a later date. But what has happened is that if the house owner would not have kept quiet in this all these meetings, probably it should have taken another turn actually, some fight or something. So this shows that you have to be tolerance. The one person has to practice, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa says that every time when he meets, there are three Sha in Bengali language, in the alphabets. Uh, he says that tolerate. There are three meaning. These are the only thing is actually there will be so much of harm to you actually. Whatever path you are taking and you are doing something, So the tolerance is the must if you want to survive or if you want to do something great. So you have to tolerate. So these are the things actually which is coming to my mind. Thank you.
I think the talk of insult is incomplete without the talk of praise. Have you noticed how much we get elated if somebody takes our name? We all have noticed कि आपने कितना अच्छा बोला, you know? And if that elation is there when somebody praises us, it cannot be possible that I am away from swaying, when somebody insults me. It is not possible. The design is not like that. So we may try our best to remain immobile, but that would be like, like a huge flow of Ganga river is coming, like you can't stop it, and you're trying in vain to put dams so that the flow can be stopped. For some time you can be successful, but it won't work all the times. And there, as somebody was sharing, that a time will come that the dam will break. So we have to see that, I think, going back to the initial sharing, that if not for the true realization in ourselves of the psychic, it is impossible that we are away from the duality of insult and praise. पॉसिबल ही नहीं है वो. अगर हमारा ग्राउंड बाहर की तरफ है, लोगों में है, जो कि हमारा अक्सर होता है इन ऑर्डिनरी कॉन्शियसनेस, it is impossible that praise will not get me up in the air and insult will not sway me. It is impossible. And that is why people like Nolinida, when we talk about, because his ground is in divine. And in all the moments that we have our ground in divine, we can see for ourselves. That is the moment where neither praise touches us nor insult. क्योंकि ये हमारे अंदर हमको देखना बहुत जरूरी है, because there is something in us sheepish. It gets very, very happy when somebody takes your name. You would not admit it to anyone, and that is why actually you would get more attracted to people who would praise you. Have you seen that? You want their company, you want to talk to them. Why? Because they praise you. So it is, ego gets boosted. So how, and that's why mother is using infinitely, the word infinitely, so many times, because actually, to get away from the ego consciousness is actually infinitely difficult. Otherwise, so many avatars would not have come, so many scriptures would not have been written. So I feel that although taking it a little bit away from what we were reading, because there's nowhere mother talks about praise in the particular one, but I feel that when we are reading it, I just can't see insult without seeing praise. If praise gets me up in the air, insult will get me down to the ground. इसी को कबीर कहते हैं, चलती चाकी देख के दिया कबीरा रोए. दिस इज द चाकी, टू दो पाटन के बीच में साबुत बचा ना कोई. सो दो, द रॉक्स ऑफ डुअलिटी. ये ऊपर बैठा है प्रेज, नीचे बैठा है क्रिटिसिज्म. तो अगर प्रेज हिला रही है तो क्रिटिसिज्म भी हिलाएगा और बीच में आप पिसोगे, क्योंकि जब प्रेज नहीं मिलेगी तो डिसअपॉइंटमेंट आएगा. You will wait, you will want to connect to those people who actually praise you, because ego is not being fed. Look at your company, look at your attraction, look at your gritter. I think individually we have to look at it. किन किन लोगों की तरफ आप खींचे चले जाते हैं, जो आपसे बड़े, मतलब मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि that, so we have to see that there is a genuine, authentic personality of a person. I'm not saying that people are not genuinely realized, sweet and ordinary. They are, simple, sweet, ordinary, and it's completely fine to enjoy their company. But we will see that this ego consciousness in us actually would not go to the person who shatters your ego. That is why guru के साथ रहना इतना difficult होता है. Masters have said कि गुरु के साथ रहना इतना आसान नहीं है, because he will shatter your ego. He will not be doing lallo chappu and buttering. So to have company of those friends, this is what we can call also in other words satsangat, who are not all the time buttering you, you know, who are also showing you the truth, irrespective of whether you feel good about it or bad about it. Who is the person who was able to step away from ego consciousness without feeling bad? There is no one. All of us feel bad when ego is hurt, है ना? But that's what our sadhana is, that we have to step back and know that that thing in me which is getting hurt is not my true consciousness. So if there is something of truth out there that the person is saying, let me take it. तो अपने दिल पे आप तीर लगा के आप अपने अंदर ले लेते हो, क्योंकि आपको पता है वो आपके बेनिफिट के लिए, इट्स फॉर योर बेनिफिट. So slowly it happens actually that although we all love the company of people that are nice to us, but there are times where we have luckily, because of our previous karmas or whatever, we have company of people who are truthful rather than being very very nice and sweet. Truthful, they are the ones who would do the most benefit. झूठ नहीं बोल पाएंगे वो आपसे, है ना? वो आपका गलत बात में साथ नहीं दे पाएंगे, वो आपकी बिना बात के एक्चुअली प्रेज करेंगे भी नहीं, क्योंकि उनको भी पता है प्रेज हमें कहाँ लेके जाती है. प्रेज इन्वोक्स द ईगो कॉन्शियसनेस. सेम विद द इंसल्ट, नो, बट थ्रू इंसल्ट एक्चुअली वी कैन लर्न बिकॉज इट हर्ट्स. प्रेज डजंट हर्ट, इट्स अ स्लो पॉइजन. उसमें तो पता भी नहीं लग रहा आपको कि हो रहा है कुछ. So just wanted to add that little bit, that insult and praise would go together. So I have to see that if I'm jumping high up in the air, I can't prevent myself from falling to the ground, which is actually a good thing for my practice, that I'm shown the ground again and again. To see that the jump is happening. And आप देखिए जैसे दलदल होता है, you know, if we are placing our feet in daldal, it's always like we will be swayed. So when we place our feet, when we have our ground in the divine, it is unshakable, it is immutable. वहां पे आपको कोई नहीं हिलाएगा. जो नौलिनी दा वाला एग्जाम्पल शेयर किया था, वहां पे when you have the feet planted firmly in the divine, अब उसको कोई नहीं हिला सकता, क्योंकि आपको ना प्रेस से फर्क पड़ रहा है, ना आपको इंसल्ट से फर्क पड़ रहा है, आप कहीं और ही हो. And this comes also in Savitri. He plunged his roots in the infinite, you know, drawing sustenance from occult roots. So हमारी जो root है वो वहाँ होनी चाहिए, वहाँ in the sense, you know, अपने of course भीतर and in the divine inwardly, or then we do whatever we have to in this world. Then that absolute immobility that mother talks of in this paragraph, तब हम उसको टेस्ट कर सकते हैं एक्चुअली रियली में, यू नो, विदाउट बीइंग ब्लॉकिंग समथिंग कि अच्छा अच्छा रोकने दो, आई एम इमोबाइल, एक ये भी तो इमोबिलिटी है, यू नो, आई एम इमोबाइल, आई विल नॉट मूव. लेकिन ये ट्रू इमोबिलिटी नहीं है. ट्रू इमोबिलिटी तब है जब हम मदर में बिल्कुल फर्मली रूटेड इन द मदर. नथिंग मैटर्स टू अस बट द मदर्स प्रेजेंस इन अस. नथिंग मैटर्स, नथिंग इज मोर ग्लिटरी. तब हमको सॉलिड रूटिंग मिलती है, जो जिसकी इस पैराग्राफ में हम बात कर रहे हैं ना. So to plant ourselves not in other people or fleeting circumstances, but in the divine. And this comes in Savitri. So yeah, this one, thank you. He knew the source from which his spirit came. Movement was married to the immobile vast. He plunged his roots into the. So this has to be done. You know, ये वैसे हम हैं. देखो, बुद्धा नेचर हम सबका है, एनलाइटेंड हम सारे हैं, लेकिन हमको किसको नॉलेज नहीं है, हमको नहीं पता हम एनलाइटेंड है. तो उस एनलाइटनमेंट का कोई फायदा नहीं जिसमें हमको पता ही नहीं है कि हम एनलाइटेंड है, क्योंकि हमारे एक्शन सारे इग्नोरेंस से भरे हुए हैं. So he plunged his roots into the infinite. ये नहीं बोला that he saw his roots were in the infinite. ये भी तो बोल सकते थे यहाँ पे. Plunged because it's a personal effort. क्योंकि हम कहाँ पे प्लंज करते हैं रूट्स? हम दूसरों की स्माइल्स में प्लंज करते हैं रूट्स, है ना, कि अच्छा वो हंसा तो हम भी हंसे, है ना, खुश हुए.
देखो हम मुझे देख के उसने स्माइल पास करी. So actively, consciously, I am trying to plunge my roots in the daldal. What will I get? What can I actually get from the daldal? Swaying, 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 swaying. It will sway me sooner or later. He based his life upon eternity. So this is where eternity is something which is immutable, while material manifestation inclusive of all the situations and people in our life is always mutable and changing. So there is this, video by, not video actually, audio of mother and Sri Surendra Nath Johar. There is an interview between them. He's talking to the mother and it's called a new birth. And he's talking about his lots of problems that he's facing in, establishing the other branch of Sri Aurobindo Ashram. And he says that mother, my own people, he's saying with that with a lot of like conviction, mere apne, unhone mera saath nahi diya. So mother is saying, actually, what did you expect? Human mind is human mind, whether it's your apna or paraya. And then mother says that if you want support from the divine, you have my full support. That's what mother says. I am totally with the work that you are doing. But if you want support from the people, वहां मैं तुम्हारी सहायता नहीं कर सकती. So it's very inspirational because he's talking about this turmoil which all of us go through. है ना. और हमको लगता है यार सबने साथ छोड़ दिया, बस तू तो मत छोड़ता मेरा साथ, तू तो मेरा अपना था. तो मदर कह रही है अपना मतलब ह्यूमन माइंड सेम एवरीवेयर. आप मंदिर में बैठे हो, वही कबाड़ ह्यूमन माइंड है हमारा जिस पे काम नहीं किया हुआ. और आप अगर कीचड़ के बीच में भी बैठे हो, अगर आपने अपने माइंड पे काम किया है, यू कैन बी कबीर हु सेज कि मेरे को कहीं पे भी जला लो, मेरे को कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा, है ना. चाहे आप मेरे को बनारस में जला लो, चाहे आप वो कौन सी जगह थी दूसरी वाली, है ना, जहाँ पे कहते हैं लोग हेल में जाते हैं, वहां जला लो, मेरे को नहीं फर्क पड़ रहा. सो ये भी पॉसिबिलिटी है, So we actively, I feel for myself also, when I'm saying, of course, not for others, but myself, that we have to plunge our roots in the infinite. There is no possible way where we can, think about being immobile in insults and praise. और कोई possibility नहीं है, क्योंकि वो design ही नहीं है. तो जब हम, लेकिन ये तब हम कर पाते हैं जब हम कन्विंस हो जाते हैं कि हमारे जो एक्सपीरियंस है, लाइफ एक्सपीरियंसेस, वो हमको इतने धक्के देते हैं, है ना, अपने हमारे धोखा दे देते हैं. तो ऊपर ऊपर से देखने में ये सिचुएशन बड़ी अजीब लगती है ना, देखो कितना बुरा हुआ उसके साथ, उसके अपनों ने उसको धोखा दे दिया. ऊपर से बड़ी वो लगती है, ट्रैजिक लगती है. बट एक्चुअली स्पिरिचुअली स्पीकिंग इट्स द बेस्ट थिंग दैट कैन हैपन टू यू, कि आपके अपने आप को धोखा दे गए, अब बढ़िया, अब तो सीधा डिवाइन की तरफ ही मुड़ोगे, क्योंकि जब तक अपने साथ में बैठे हुए हैं, डिवाइन से मुड़ने में वो रोकेंगे आपको. So in the terms of spiritual consciousness, through what we have to do in this life, tragedies and all these situations are just, they don't exist, because the divine doesn't look the way we look at things. और वही आपको, आपकी जो मेन ट्रेजेडी हुई आपके लाइफ में, कि आपके अपने ने आपको अबैंडन कर दिया, ऊपर ऊपर से बड़ा दर्द हो रहा है, वो देखो आपने उसने आपको किनारे लगा दिया, उसने भवसागर से पार लगा दिया आपको. Yeah, so just I think I extended it too much, but I wanted to add the angle of praise along with insult, that we have to look at both. That yeah, we can't take just insult.
Yes, thank you. And one thing, about praise that I've seen, that if somebody is insulting, because you are so like, it was about the shaking and everything. I mean, you get so on top of it that you don't notice it, that what happened. Like by the time you realize, too much has already happened. Praise, I feel, is more subtle. Like I have actually felt, and I know I've shared it, that once I was just, outside my parents' door in the morning, and I heard this thing that, Taru hai na. And I was like, oh, it will be something nice only, what bad do I do? But it wasn't. And the switch that I saw in myself, right? Like I heard the sentence Taru hai na, and I felt an elation, and immediately it turned into oh. So that was very helpful. That was, I think, the first time I realized it so clearly that what a praise does to me. Before that, I don't think I caught that movement because it turned from one side to the other. So when somebody is praising, it's easier for me to see the movement that is happening inside. But with its insult, it's usually a bit later that one realizes that, oh, yeah, that's
I think this is also where we see that, I mean, it's very hard to see people who are in the front of society. They may have a name and they may be very, like high regard. But आप देखोगे, if you have the opportunity to see them at close quarters, I have seen personally, and again, very limited experience, that it's very, very rare to find a person who is not moved by praise. Very rare. Very rare. And I would see that as a mark of actually a true grounding. कि कुछ हिला ही नहीं जो बाहर से आया ट्रिगर. एंड तभी शायद जो आप बात कर रहे थे प्रेज की, दैट मतलब मुझे लगता है कि प्रेज में क्या, इट्स लाइक अ स्वीट स्लो पॉइजन, है ना. क्यों वो इतना आपको वो, तो कबीर जी कह रहे हैं ना, जब सुख में सुमिरन ना किया, सुख प्रेज हो रही है तो सुख हो रहा है. अब उसमें क्या है, जब बहुत मजा आ रहा है, हम सब देखेंगे कि जब हमको मजा आ रहा होता है ना, उस समय हम अवेयरनेस ऑफ द मजा नहीं होना चाहते हैं, हम मजा बन जाना चाहते होते हैं, हम उसमें बह जाना चाहते होते हैं. तो सुख के टाइम में जब आपकी प्रेज हो रही है, लल्लो चप्पो हो रही है और आप अच्छा फील कर रहे हो, आप समथिंग इज बबलिंग अप विद इन, at that point of time, if you see that rising up as something separate than you, it is very, very rare that we can do it, that I can remain aware while that upward movement is happening. So तभी कहते हैं कि जो पेन होता है वो ज्यादा अच्छे से जगाता है, क्योंकि सुख जगाता नहीं है, सुख मूर्छा देता है. एज आचार्य प्रद्युमन सेज कि सुख आपको मूर्छा देता है, पेन जो है क्योंकि वो बर्दाश्त नहीं हो रहा होता, तो वो जगाने का काम करता है. And that is why we have a canto, full canto on the problem, way of fate and the problem of pain in Savitri, कि भैया करें क्या, ये तो जनता ही ऐसी है, तो पेन की तो जरूरत है ना. मतलब वहां पे नारद जी यही तो कह रहे हैं कि you invited, मतलब this is how we are, so without pain I don't learn. And it is so many stories that we have of realized masters who have 10 and 11 and more years of suffering before truly realizing themselves who they truly are. 10, 11 years of suffering, deep depression. And then they woke up to who they truly were. है ना. तो ये बहुत रेयर होता है कि हमको प्रेज जगा दे अपनी मूर्छा से, जबकि जो पेन होती है, जो सफरिंग होती है, जो इंसल्ट के साथ आती है, वो जगाने का काम करती है ना. सो अगेन, टू बी अ रॉ मटेरियल टू बी यूज्ड ऑन द पाथ. अदरवाइज या तो हो कि हमको सोना है, अरे यार अच्छा ही तो है, सोना है अलग बात है, बट दोज ऑफ अस हु आर सिंसियरली वांटिंग टू वेक अप हु आई ट्रूली एम, उनके लिए ये बहुत अच्छा रॉ मटेरियल है. या तो सुख में सुमिरन करना इसलिए डिफिकल्ट है क्योंकि उसमें मजा आ रहा होता है, तो उसमें आप अवेयरनेस नहीं बनना चाहते, है ना. इनफैक्ट कोई आपको बोल भी दे, मतलब आई कैन पीपल कैन से दैट, अरे तेरे को प्रॉब्लम क्या है यार, मजे ले ले. होता है ना कि why are you not enjoying, and but we don't see that when I am taking my stance as awareness, there is rather more delight than the momentary joy that comes in getting swept in that elation. But we don't realize that. So people can say from outwardly कि यार मजे ले ले, तेरे साथ प्रॉब्लम क्या है. बट आपको पता नहीं है कि वो मजा एक्चुअली इट्स अ पॉइजन, इट्स अ स्लो पॉइजन. या
I just wanted to ask that what you're saying is very correct, exactly. And I think in Gita as well, chapter 2, there's a lot of discussion about Krishna talking about, even Arjuna asked that I'll incur a lot of sin, and I will be like ashamed if I kill the people that who are standing in front of me, who are my brethren. So I'll be kulnashini in that sense. And he, in chapter 2, there's a description about Krishna saying that like your orientation is towards you as a Kshatriya and do the duty. And if you'll do the duty without getting, of course, attached to the outcomes of what happens, you will incur neither sin nor virtue. So there's a detachment from sin and virtue, in that sense, praise and insult, the binary dialectical thinking. But even when I was reading it, and when you were discussing from my own experience, I had a question that I know this is a journey and this has to be done, but isn't the first step or the beginning is to take them with samta? So I mean, like, I know we have to transcend this pleasure that comes with the joy, not with the praise. It is very difficult. So would you think that the first step would be to take both pride and the criticism? Like, for example, that helps me, that I do feel somebody, oh, you did such good presentation, I feel, and it inspires me to do better. I say, okay, I will do much better now, next time I got this. So it kind of, I feel, maybe I'm wrong again, but for me, I feel it is a driver of doing it better. And if somebody says very bad, I think this, and it really discourages me. I said, okay, leave it, I don't want to do it, leave it. Even with my partner only today, and he is always criticizing this, this is little bit not good, this is not good. And I say, okay, I'll not cook only. So like, the thing, then I have started to realize that, okay, what I'll do is that if I get criticism, if I get praise, okay, it's there. But if I get criticism, I will not say I'll not do it. I'll see why is it there, and then I will try to do it better. So I will not shun the praise, shun the insult, and take the praise. I hope you're understanding. So I know that the true step for evolution is to transcend both, but isn't the beginning to take both with equanimity? That helps me, because otherwise, if I don't do it, if I just try to transmute it completely, then I'm lost. I hope you understand what I meant.
I think it's
Little
quite
bit.
understandable what you are sharing, but the thing is, देखो, पहली बात तो ये है कि अगर हो रहा है तो of course करो. मतलब अगर समता हो रही है प्रैक्टिस, तो कौन मना कर रहा है? मतलब करो यार, तो पूरी आज़ादी है आपको अपना जीवन जीने की. But the thing is कि, so yeah, first thing that जो आपको benefit कर रहा है हमें करना है. अगर आपको लग रहा है I can step back and take it with equanimity, बिल्कुल बिंदास, मतलब who can stop you, right? Second point is that why am I placing transcending duality too far? Why am I saying that that is a long journey? That's my question. I'm not saying that it's not a long journey. क्योंकि उसमें क्या हो रहा है? उसमें I am postponing something which is as close as this eyelash to my eye. But I am, देखो, तभी तो हम ignorance word use करते हैं. जो Rupert Spira, one of the masters, he uses the word ignorance in a very interesting way, and I like, because it clarifies things for us. Ignorance का मतलब I am ignoring something, right? है ना? Meaning wise अगर देखें, I am ignoring something. That which is so intimately close to me, I am ignoring 24/7. That is what he calls as ignorance. And he says this awareness in us, which is 24/7 intimately present with us, because without that I can't look at a thought. है ना? हम सबको पता है इस समय हम क्या सोच रहे हैं, है ना? एक बार देखो अपने दिमाग में, हम सबको पता है, अच्छा कहाँ है मेरा दिमाग, वो क्या चीज़ है जो मुझे बता रही है, जो मुझे जानने के लिए वो, it is making me capable. That is there with us 24/7. But when I say that, oh, the psychic realization is a long journey, which I'm not saying it's not, it may be, but I am saying it's as close as that. तो जब मैं ये बोल रही हूँ कि चलो अभी मैं ये प्रैक्टिस कर लेती हूँ, जो कि बिल्कुल वैलिड है, हमें करना चाहिए, whatever benefits, but when I am saying parallelly कि वो अभी दूर है, अभी वो मेरे बस की नहीं है, तो मैं कुछ ऐसी चीज अपने आप से दूर कर रही हूँ जो एक्चुअली में दूर कभी हो ही नहीं सकती, वो आप पोस्टपोन कर रही हूँ उसमें मैं, वो मुझे लगता है जायज नहीं है, वो पोस्टपोनिंग जायज नहीं है. नाउ अगेन फॉर अस वी कैन से दिस, आई वुड नॉट से इट मे बी टू अ somebody else, but for you who have been with mother's words teachings for some time, यहाँ पे हम बोल सकते हैं कि क्यों पोस्टपोन करना है, क्यों मैं अपना ग्राउंड नहीं बना सकती डिवाइन में अभी के अभी, क्यों मैं वेट करूं और धक्कों की, है ना. तो and again realizing and parallelly, so not only finding our ground in the divine, but again and again rooting myself as this consciousness which is always looking at things. Why can't I root myself right now there? Why do I want to prolong it and postpone it? मुझे क्या पता कल मेरे पास है कि नहीं, किसकी कितनी जिंदगी है किसको पता, है ना. तो ये अगर अगेन दिस मे नॉट रेजोनेट विद एवरीवन, अगर ये मेरी लाइफ का मुझे बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट काम लगता है, then I should be at it right now and not later on when things will change. तभी तो कबीर कह रहे हैं पानी में मीन प्यासी, मुझे सुन सुन आवे हांसी. देखो ना अब ये कॉन्शियसनेस विच इज मेकिंग अस एक्चुअली कॉन्शियस ऑफ एवरीथिंग, थॉट्स फीलिंग्स, लेकिन मेरा ध्यान कहाँ है, थॉट के अंदर का कंटेंट क्या है, मेरा ध्यान कहाँ है, अच्छा कौन सी फीलिंग, इसका मैं क्या करूं, मेरा ध्यान उस पे है ही नहीं, द वन विच इज मेकिंग मी केपेबल ऑफ नोइंग. तो वो कबीर कह रहे हैं कि मेरे को तो हंसी आ रही है कि भैया तुम उसके अंदर ड्रेंच्ड बैठे हो, पूरे टाइम उसमें नहाए धोए हो और कह रहे हो तुम प्यासे हो, कैसे कह सकते हो ये, क्योंकि हमारा इग्नोरेंस, आई एम इग्नोरिंग दैट प्रेजेंस ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस विद इन मी. So this is how Rupert Spira looks at it, and I found it very revelatory when I first heard it, that oh my god, it's here, and I'm actually ignoring it because I am mostly interested in the content and glitter of the thought and feeling. तो उसको आपने इग्नोर कर दिया जो लाइट आपके अंदर उसको पॉसिबल बना रही है. देख, है ना, अब जैसे हम थिएटर जाते हैं, थिएटर में आपका खाली स्टेज पे किसी का ध्यान नहीं होता, कैरेक्टर्स पे ध्यान होता है. कैरेक्टर्स क्या वहां पे डांस कर सकते हैं अगर खाली स्टेज नहीं हो, बट हमारा ध्यान ही नहीं होता. वही हमारी यहाँ पे हालत है, मेरा सारा ध्यान मेरे ड्रामे पे है और ड्रामा मैं रियल समझ के बैठी हूँ, उस पे ध्यान ही नहीं है जो वो ड्रामे को देखने लायक बना रहा है ना. दैट विच इज, एंड दिस इज व्हाट इज शिवा. शिवा व्हेन काली इज स्टैंडिंग, एक पिक्चर हमने बात करी थी सावित्री में, दैट ऑन द ब्रेस्ट ऑफ शिवा काली इज स्टैंडिंग. So Shiva is this consciousness, this ground of consciousness on which thoughts can be, feelings can be, perceptions can be, and I know that they are there. But I forget Shiva. Kali is Kal, time, happenings in time. Thoughts are happening in time, feelings are happening in time, body sensations are happening in time. उस पे सबका ध्यान है. And as goes in Savitri, that this was a pact that was made, that the Purusha said ki acha, let me step back willingly. This is what they call the sacrifice of the Purusha in scriptures, कि मुझे पीछे होने दो, तुम आ जाओ लाइमलाइट में, और मैं कब आऊंगा आगे, जब the being is ready, then मैं आऊंगा लाइमलाइट में आगे. तभी तो हम देखते हैं कि हमको 30, 40, 20 whatever years या even more लग जाते हैं to actually realize what's happening in the being. We have no idea, क्योंकि we are growing, the Purusha is growing through the happenings of Kali, Kal, time. That's the pact. लेकिन अब जब अगर टाइम आ गया है उसका, है ना, जो कि each and every one for individual it would be different, तो क्या मैं उसको अब तवज्जो दे सकते हैं, क्या हम, है ना, let it come forward. This is what we call let the psychic come forward. You take the stance again and again as the consciousness, as the knowing of the happenings in your life. Then the psychic comes forward. फिर वो immutability की जो हम बात कर रहे थे, immovability की जो बात कर रहे थे, they also, we perceive it more in our being. क्योंकि now I am the knowing of the turmoil that is there in the life. I am not the turmoil, I am the knowing. So then you will see you have lightness in the middle of turmoil. It's a possibility for all of us कि बाहर के challenges तो देखो रहेंगे कुछ ना कुछ, but आपके अंदर कुछ है जो seated within, firmly seated within. This is the psychic coming forward. और ये मैं बस ये कहना चाह रही थी, इसको मैंने कुछ ज़्यादा लंबा खींच दिया because of my habit, that you know it's not far away. Mother says 3 days, है ना, कहीं पढ़ा होगा तुमने 3 days. तो हमको क्यों इतना लंबा करना है प्रोसेस, अब जब समझ में आ रही है बात की क्या करना है ना, क्यों लंबा करें क्या.
I think we can end the session here. It's time. And if there's anything else on this, if there's any sharing, we can take it up next time. So we did the passage titled Insults and Remain Immobile. And the next passage is Be Good for the sake of being good. Yeah.
So this is a very nice practice actually, just towards the end. You know, let us take this practice home. Whenever we are, say, all the time, there are many mechanical things we are doing. We are driving, we are walking. If rather than spending time ruminating in our thoughts and feelings, we can spend the time in taking stance again and again as consciousness, which is looking at the thoughts and feelings. You know, तो बहुत अच्छा टाइम यूटिलाइजेशन है. एंड देन ऑल्सो जैसे आप किसी की वेट कर रहे हो, द बंदा हैज नॉट येट कम एंड वेटिंग, इट्स अ वेरी गुड टाइम यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ सच स्पेसेस ऑफ अवर लाइफ. जब आप कभी भी बोर नहीं फील कर सकते, यू नो, व्हेन यू आर again and again realizing, taking the stance of consciousness. I am the consciousness which looks at things and movements. This is what Jetsunma all the time shares, that there is a subtler level and then there are surface movements. So don't get lost in the movements, take the step back and know yourself as that consciousness. It may be a long process to truly stabilize, but once you get the hang of it, then always you have good company. You can always give good company to yourself. So we must practice this, and that's how psychic, one of the ways psychic comes forward. Yeah, so let's take a moment of silence before we end and share and dedicate all the merit, individual, collective, with all the sentient beings. May we have lots of peace and tranquility in our hearts. And may all of us have very firm and true rooting in the divine. May we not live like beggars when we can be king. Thank you.